Hey everybody, this is for the Shadow Paladin, deck profile. A lot of people are saying that Shadow Paladins are shit. I'm completely against that. I'm very sure they're not shit. They've never been shit. And so this is the first starter. This is full battle. This is the only starter that you're giving to every clan, and I'm really getting sick of this. I want to see my freaking 4 runners already, cause I missed the 4 runners. They were always the best units to use in every single deck. So, next unit, and yes, we went wrong copy of this one. Next unit, 8 copies of the critical triggers. I'm just showing one artwork because I'm not gonna be showing every artwork. So, for the next trigger, it's the 4 heal triggers, standard, and the next one is the 4 perfect draw triggers. Yes, this is a standard deck, not a premium deck. 4 copies of the Phantom Blaster Dragon. Many people are saying that he's also a terrible BR. I'm very sure that the character, like the card, isn't bad. Why isn't bad? Because this card is not made for premium. It's made for standard. Like, the reason why they're doing the reboot is because they're trying to balance the deck, the clans, and balance the game. When G-Era was in the game, everything was out of balance. So, the skill of the unit: you retire 3 of yours, your opponent retires 3, counterblast 1. You give him plus 15k, 1 critical, and if your opponent has 0 rear guards, you soul blast a grade 3 from your soul, and your opponent receives 1 extra damage. That's not bad. You're not going to be using it a lot, but hey, it's a bonus. Next unit, 2 Dark Dictators, because he's just a backup grade 3, just in case you don't get to ride the other one, because really there isn't a lot of important grade 3s for now right now. So basically he's like a good backup grade 3, just in case that you need him. So counterblast 1, superior call from your hand, give it plus 5k, retire 1 rear guard on your opponent. Your opponent always gets to choose the retires on every single card in the deck, so you don't get to choose, but you can retire anything, and that's good. So 2 copies of Dark Dictator, like you can see over there. Next unit, and yes, I remember it's going to have it in purple. 2 copies of this grade 3. He's not supposed to be for the vanguard. He's a backup, 3rd backup, but he's supposed to be for the rear guard, so you can fill in the rear guard from the deck, because sometimes it's not good to be calling from your hand sometimes. And so he doesn't count his cost isn't a counterblast, it's a soul blast. And this deck is counterblast heavy, like always. It's always been that heavy on the counterblast, but this time they made it a soul blast. It used to be free for this unit, but they decided to give it a cost because it ended up being very stupid. So he's getting the unit plus 5k, and in the end of the turn, the unit dies. So you're not giving it the situation like that. You're just trying to make it retire for your Phantom Blaster Dragon, like you can see. And so having the force marker is a good thing, just in case you don't get to ride the Dark Dictator or the other unit, which is the Phantom Blaster Dragon. So in the standard deck, this is a tremendously good card to run if you're playing standard. And this deck is basically, the way that I made it is blaster focused, because I've always been a fan of the Shadow Paladin's blaster units. So you're gonna see a lot of blasters in here. You're gonna see a lot of focus on that, because I specifically went for blasters. Next unit is this. Well, it's not a blaster, but he is basically a retire advantage unit, basically. Since the deck is about retiring so many rear guards, and most of the cards in the deck retire so many rear guards in the opponent, plus your own, I decided to just add this unit in 2 copies, because I like having variety on my grade 2s, so I ended up adding him. His ability is that he gets plus 3k For every unit you have extra than your opponent. So if your opponent is basically having less rear guards than you, he's always going to get plus 3k for every single extra. The downside is he can only max out by 9,000, meaning that he can only go to 19. That's the only downside, but he's still a great power up to use in their deck because everything pluses. That's the good thing about Shadow Paladins. They always have something to plus their units. So it's good to have him in the deck. If you don't want to run him, you don't have to, but I did it because I like variety. Next unit, my favorite, Blaster Dart, 4 copies. He's not bad, like many people are saying that he's sold, he's bad, he doesn't get to choose to retire, but who cares? You're getting Twin Drive. And nobody's going to be calling with so many rear guards because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. He's still the perfect grade 2. Next unit, 3 Makas. Her ability, counter blast 1. And then call a unit, grade 1 or lower unit from your hand. Give the Maka plus 3k, I think it was, plus 3 or 5. And then you get to draw a card, meaning that you're plussing, even if you're losing cards from your hand, you're still plussing. And so I understand why they made it a triple rare. I would have preferred it a double rare, but since they're basically making every special card be a V rare, I can understand why they made her a triple rare. I can understand. But giving Shadow Paladins 3 triple rares, come on, Bushiro, that's crazy. So I'm guessing that they're already gonna be tier like 3 or 4, maybe 2, depending on which decks they fight against. So 3 copies for her. Next unit, Blaster Rapier. Her skill, when she hits the vanguard, you counterblast 1. And then when you counterblast 1, you automatically retire. You're basically doing the same skill as Blaster Dart, but on a retire. So if your opponent doesn't guard it, they lose a rear guard. But if they guard, they lose a card from their hand. So having this unit isn't bad. And she's basically a 14k attacker as well, because she gains plus 5,000 power if you have other two other blaster units on the field. It doesn't matter the grade or whatever, it just matters that they have blaster in their name, because this is a blaster focus, like I said. And so it's very good to have this type of units. And I am very happy they at least made it like the manga, because in the manga it's gonna have a lot of blaster units. Like, I'm already excited for the season 2. Next unit, Blaster Javelin. I decided to make it 3 copies because when I was basically checking all the units, I managed to see that there was a few problems. They ended up putting way too many good grade 1s. Too many good freaking units as the grade 1s. I understand that Shadow Paladins are right now in this new meta making their grade 1s the most important units in some way, but damn, they have too many grade 1s that are way too good. And this one's skill is counterblast 1, he gains plus 3k, and you draw a card if you have another grade 1 on your field, making it so that you're always plussing, just like Maka. You don't have to call, just call him, and anyway, you draw. Simple as that. Next unit, it's the main, you see. I decided to give her 2 copies because she's basically, to me, she is a if I need it, because she's free, but since her points are so slow, like they're basically just 5k power, I basically ended up debating into whether I make her a 3 or a 2, or whether I make it a 4 and lower other units. And so I decided to make it a 2. Just in the moment that where I really need the counterblast for Phantom, I just use her skill, rest, call another copy, or another unit in the deck and make sure that I have to retire for that moment when I don't have enough counterblast. Because even though the deck has counterchargers, sometimes you don't have the units you need. And so it's very important that you at least try and use some free units. Because like I said, too many units in this deck have counterblast. Sorry, and they also have free skills depending on the restrictions. So that's for restriction. Next unit, 4 copies of Karen. I did not expect Karen to be the countercharger of the deck, but she is. Her skill, you need to superior call her to the field, and then she's gonna automatically basically countercharge in that moment by soul-blessing 1 card, and then she gains plus 3k. She's basically like Javelin, but countercharging, and you don't draw. You countercharge instead of drawing. That's the only difference they made for the unit, but it's still a great unit. Like I literally see this unit as being basically the 3 or 4 unit, because you have another countercharger in the clan, but he has a very steep cost. Basically, the cost for him is that you need to retire a rear guard to call him. Oh, mother was sick. And I really have to say that I might be thinking on putting him maybe in the future, maybe. But for now, I don't see it that viable. Even though he becomes, say, 20k during that turn, and he countercharges, I still don't see him as an important unit. Just like the other units, are more important than him, because they're solid grade 2s that do the job way better than him. Because to countercharge with him, you have to basically use your last counterblast. You have to have 0 counterblast in order to use his skill. So basically, that's the situation with the other counterchargers. So I prefer this one over him. That's why I didn't put him in the deck. Next unit, 4 copies of Blaster Dagger. Yes, Blaster Dagger. His skill, when he hits, or when the boosted unit that he boosted hit, no matter what of those two, his skill will activate. Basically, he'll move to the soul, and you're gonna force your opponent to retire one of his own rear guard, making this unit a free cost, but also a pressure. So I really like this unit. I really do. So that's about it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you liked it. Tell me in the comments if you would change anything in the deck and why. And I'll see you guys later in the next video. Peace out.